can't see you 6 feet over there. Shh. Let's look over there. Some marbled godwit and some avocets. What do you think they're doing? What do you think is going on? Let's use our naturalist tools to further investigate. I can use my binoculars to see faraway things a little bit closer. And, do you remember this? It's our naturalist journal. We made one like this last week. Let's jot down some notes, see what they're doing. So it seems like they're probing and poking through the mud with their long bill. As a naturalist and a scientist, I like to ask these questions. Why are animals and plants the way they are? Why do they do the things they do? And why does this bird have such a long bill? Sometimes, if we observe them long enough, we get those questions answered. For example, the marbled godwit is using its long bill to probe through the deep mud to catch some mollusks, worms, and sometimes crabs to eat. That's called their prey. The godwit's long bill is an example of an adaptation. An adaptation is a special body part of a plant or an animal that help it survive in its environment, its home, or as scientists like to call, its habitat. For example, a frog with its really long tongue. That long tongue help it catch flies in the middle of the air. That's an example of an adaptation. So we mentioned its long bill. What other adaptations does a godwit have? How about those long legs it has? You know, those really long legs it uses to walk through the deep mud. That's an adaptation too. Look at the mud over here. It has to look for those yummy worms we saw it eat earlier. You can see its prints. And also, what about that crazy speckled color they have? That speckled color is camouflage. That is also an adaptation that helps it survive in its environment. It helps it camouflage, blend into its environment to hide from predators. These body adaptations can also help us figure out a bird's name. Us naturalists call them field marks, because when you're out in the field, you can see the marks from far away. For example, a mallard with its bright green distinctive head, or a red-winged blackbird with its little patch of red on its wing. So we use field guides, such as this one, to look through books. And we match the birds that we see in real life closely with the birds that we see in these books. So here's a marbled godwit, what we were seeing earlier. You can tell its long bill, its really long legs, and that speckled color that I was talking about. So I've been sitting here and staring at these birds for a really long time, and all they've been doing is sleeping and eating. And that's because these birds are an incredible journey called migration, and this is their rest spot. These shorebirds are incredible. They fly all the way from Alaska to Mexico, Central, and South America. That's a long trip. And they do that to escape the cold Arctic winds of Alaska. And they vacation down in the warm waters of the South. Every spring, they fly back up to Alaska to breed and have lots and lots of babies. And every year, they embark on these long journeys, these long migrations. Humboldt Bay has become a hugely, and I mean hugely, important stopping destination for all types of shorebirds and waterfowl. We get over 500,000 birds. Can you imagine that number? That's huge. And they all land here to rest from their journey, to get full and plump and sleep so they could be ready to go back out there and fly some more. Ornithologists or bird scientists call this place a stopover site. And the highway that these birds take is called the Pacific Flyaway. And we're so incredibly lucky to live so close to Humboldt Bay, where we can come out here and watch these incredible migrations happen. every year. In order to become a great junior naturalist, you're going to want to practice taking down notes. So pull out that nature journal next time you're bird watching in your backyard and jot down the date, time, and weather. With birds, you always want to pay attention to those field marks, so make sure you have a section for field marks. And remember what field marks are? Those are those distinct body parts that we talked about. Next, you want to pay attention to behaviors. What is the bird doing? Also sounds. What does the bird sound like? And once you have all of those notes taken down, you could look through your field guide and look for that bird that closely resembles the real life bird you're looking at. So here's an example of my field notes. You see? So I have written down the date, the time, and the weather. And I like to draw, so I drew the picture of the bird that I was looking at. Here are the field marks I found. A black head, a black bib, and some reddish on its back and on its side. I also wrote down some behavior traits and the sounds that it was making. And I looked through my field guide and I found it. Right here. It's called a chestnut-backed chickadee. Super cool, huh? Now we went over some really important concepts this week. We went over predators and prey, adaptations, and migration. So make sure you write those down in your nature journal and commit those to memory. Now remember kids, stay curious and stay observant. See you in the next episode.